Hello viewers, we welcome you to another episode of TGIF-VIBES with Lady, brought to you by MENTIASIE TV. Well, it is said that time is the greatest asset a man can have on earth, and the most valuable resource you can spend in life is time. So today, we want to talk about time management, and I have with me some great personalities to help go through this discussion. I have Dr. Francis here and Dr. Debby, and these personalities are going to take us through time management and its relevance. Stay tuned. So when we talk about time management, what is the first thing that comes into your mind, or what is the general idea about time management?
Okay, I think I will use the dictionary definition of time management. Just the ability to properly, use probably an allocated amount of time to, do something that effectively and efficiently. So I think in a general sense, time management is the ability to be able to use your time effectively and productively, especially at work.
So the key word is to be effective and productive at the end of the day, the usage of time, if I'm right.
Okay, so if I'm to add something to what she just said, I would say time management is the process of organizing and then planning, as in how to divide time between specific tasks. And so you have a task ahead, and you divide, you plan, organize, and divide the time that you have between the tasks you have, so as to be able to be productive, effective, and then efficient. Because when we talk of being efficient and being effective, they are not the same. To be effective and to be efficient means, so if you are able to manage time well, you will be efficient. Everybody can be effective, but not everybody can be efficient. Why am I saying this? Because you might have a task to accomplish, and if you are able to manage your time well, you see that you will finish in time. I might be given a task, I will finish, but I will finish beyond the deadline, which means I'll finish the task. The effectiveness was there, but as in whether I was efficient in executing the time, that is what matters. And that is why it is important to manage time, so that you will be efficient at the end of the day and not just being effective, because your effectiveness is not sort of proportional to you being efficient.
So if I got you right, you plan your day, you kind of arrange in such a way that at the end of the day you should produce the result, and then the effectiveness or the quality of the result shows how well you're able to manage your time, right? Okay. So why is it then relevant to manage time? Why is it important that we should really take keen interest in time management?
Okay, when you are given a task to accomplish, you have a time. One thing that I will say before I go on to say this is that time is one of the greatest equalizer in life, in that we all have the same amount of time on earth here, regardless of your race, background, like your social background, being it you could be filthy rich or debt poor, but then we all have the same amount of time. And so in order to be, if I'm to talk of the relevance of time management, I would say one thing that we need to know is that if I'm given a task to accomplish and I'm able to plan, organize myself such that I don't put pressure on myself, then I will avoid anxiety, stress. And we know as medical students that being healthy is not just the absence of disease. But when we talk of emotional state as well, so if you are stressed, you know that emotionally you are destabilized, and that can affect your health, your well-being. And so if you are able to manage time, you see that you avoid stress because you are given a task to do. You organize yourself before you start the work. And so you don't put stress on yourself, and you get the time to focus. And when you are focused, you see that you get the result. You work smarter. You don't work harder, but you work smarter. And you are able to accomplish like a lot within the shortest time frame.
All right, Debby, do you have something to say?
Okay, the question was why it's relevant, right? Okay, just like he said, everyone has the same amount of time, and like it's a, should I say, generous saying, or of course I grew up with my mom saying, you don't have all the time in the world, you don't have all the time in the world. So of course time ticks, and they say time is money, so you want to make sure that the time you have, you're able to use it effectively, you're able to be efficient with it, you're able to do something that's productive. So I would say the relevance of time management is so that you can be productive, so that you can be efficient. You can't achieve much if you don't know how to manage your time, because time flies, it just goes by, and before you know what's happening, like the day is over. So if you're aiming at achieving something, you're aiming at being productive, you're aiming at you have something you want to really go for, this thing, you have to know how to manage your time to be able to achieve what you want to achieve. So I think that's why it's relevant that you know how to manage your time to be able to be productive.
As we all know, the saying that goes like, time and tide wait for none, and time also is money. If let's take for instance, you work for a day, and for every hour, let's take for instance, you earn $100, and you take for a particular day, you waste your time. Instead of working, you stay on something else aside your work. You see that, one, you will not be able to get the amount of money that you are supposed to earn within a day, because you are measured per the hour you work. And so if you are going to waste time on certain things and not prioritizing your activities, so that you do the things that matters most, and you waste time on some sort of things that are just distractions, then you will not get to the top, because the social ladder is such that you need to climb, and in order to climb you need to achieve certain things. And like I said initially, time is not going to wait for you. And time also is money, and we need money in whatever we do. And so if you don't work to get the money, you will not be able to get to the top.
So it means that to avoid frustration in life, you should learn to manage your time. And if you want to be effective, you should learn to manage your time. If you want to see productivity, you should learn to manage your time. And the effectiveness of it comes when you're able to prioritize well. Then you're able to achieve much in a day, but with good results. Then you know that you're able to manage your time, and at the same time receive the better results. It's good. So now, looking at the relevance, so how then can I manage my time? Maybe I'm somebody that doesn't know how to manage time. I always wait till it's almost deadline before I just put everything together and then try to achieve something. But now I've learned that if I want to have a good result, I should learn how to manage my time. So how then do I manage it? What are the steps to take, or what is the advice you can give me to manage my time?
Okay, so you mentioned earlier, since we started, we've been talking about prioritizing. So the first thing I would say is you need to prioritize, and that has to do with planning. when you are planning, you prioritize. That is, you consider a whole lot of things, and then you look at them like in terms of importance. And so you don't want to do the least important things first, but rather those that are of utmost importance. So take for instance, you are a student and you have every day you go to class. You need to, you know, the subjects that you are reading. Let's take for instance in a week. So you know your how do you call it? Your weakness, your strength, and so there's something that we call the SWOT analysis, which has to do with our strength, weakness, the opportunities, and then the threats that are out there. So you consider all these things. When I know my weakness and my strength, I want to work on my weakness, because my strength is what is moving me. But I need to work on my weakness so that I get the two of them, like not at least be better on the weak side. If we know the threats and then the opportunities that we have, that we are able to plan and then be effective. Your planning should be smart. So what do I mean by your planning should be smart? It should be specific, it should be measurable, it should be achievable, it should be realistic, and it should be time bound. So you set goals and you stick to the goals that you've set. And you don't set goals that are unrealistic. So, and you give yourself a time frame. And so if you've given yourself a time frame, you don't want to do things that are going to hinder your progress. So you just stick to the allocated time that you have set for yourself. And like I mentioned, that the SWOT analysis has to do with knowing your weakness and your strength. So if I know my weakness, in order to be fruitful in managing my time, I should be able to delegate responsibilities. That is, those things that I know that I'm not good at. If I'm going to be doing them on my own, I'm going to waste time. So I should learn to be humble enough to delegate. You know, sometimes many people have this problem of going to other people to seek for assistance, and that shouldn't be the case, because in the end, if we are going to try to do some of these things that we are weak in, we'll be wasting time. And so if I'm studying a topic that I know that I'm not really good in, I should be able to ask somebody. By so doing, I'm delegating responsibility. So that person will sort of serve as my teacher. I'm saying this because we are medical students, but to whoever is out there, everybody should learn how to delegate responsibilities as a way of managing time, because in that case, we don't waste time on a particular task. We give it to the right person to do it so that we don't stay on one thing for a longer period.
All right. I think I want to just chip in some things on what he said. When he was talking about delegating responsibilities, I think I remember something that someone said, that if a good businessman, I don't know if that's exact way it was said, but it says a good businessman gives to others to do what he cannot do that day. So I think that's really true about delegating responsibility when you're not able to meet up with it. So talking about tips on how to manage your time effectively, really, I think it starts from the fact of wanting to manage your time. You have to decide, okay, I have come to the realization that I need to manage my time. Hey, I have goals and I have a time frame. Like, I want to be able to achieve these things within this period of time. So I think when you have that in your mind already, then it can help, you know, every other thing you want to do. So I would say, I'll talk based on experience anyways, like what I've been able to do that has helped me. It's planning. like write down the things maybe you want to achieve, you want to be able to do within a period of time. Okay, let's say for today, what are your goals for today? What are your plans for today? What do you intend to be able to finish up today? So you write it down, and by the end of the day, you see that if you're able to achieve those things while you're ticking, it feels good, like, oh, I've been able to achieve this, you get. So I think writing it down helps you, and you may want to maybe put it on maybe the wall or on your door, so that as you're going around, you're looking, hey, I have this time, you know, I have to finish all of this within this period of time. So I think that's one thing. Another thing is discipline. You can't manage time if you're not disciplined. You have to cultivate the habit, you know, you have to be disciplined, because the other things, there are going to be distractions. Discipline is going to help you, like, say, okay, that's a distraction, I don't want to do that at this time. Discipline is going to help you say that, okay, maybe I've allocated this time for something and I'm doing this. Okay, the time for this thing, this activity is up, I have to stop and go do something else, maybe the next activity. So discipline is going to help you, you know, put things in place and say, okay, this is how far I want to go with this. Sometimes it may be a movie, maybe your rest hour, you want, okay, I want to rest, but you're resting, you're relaxing, you know, the time you've allocated probably to rest is already exhausted, but you still want to even sleep, you still want to stay in bed, like, oh, please let me just sleep, maybe, you know, 5 minutes more, you snooze the alarm, just 5 minutes more, and all of that. So I think discipline helps you say, hey, it's time to stand up. I have to stand up, because if I don't stand up, if I don't leave this thing, I won't be able to achieve, you know, what I have for that day. So I think those are just a few tips that I can see are pretty practical. Yeah.
Okay.
To add something, as students, one thing we should know is that, you know, if you are studying, you need to know, first of all, the best place that will help you achieve your goal, and the right time as well, because, you know, sometimes you know yourself that, for me, I study best, let's say, around 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. And so if you waste your time studying, let's say, around 4 p.m., when you know that you don't really study well, you say that it will be a time wasting. You will not achieve anything at the end of the day. And sometimes people sit down to read, and they eat some kind of food which they are not supposed to eat, because in the end it's going to make you feel sleepy, and you want to do eat something that will rather help you. So I would suggest that instead of maybe eating heavy food, we resort to things like fruit salad, rather than taking burgers and all those things. And then also, if I know myself that I'm not good when I'm studying home, then I should go to a place that is conducive enough for me, because that will make me achieve more. Because if you are home, you know that there's temptation. First of all, the slightest, you want to rest when you are sort of a bit stressed, but then you have set some target and you want to hit that target, and so you get the right place for yourself in order not to waste time. Because why am I saying this? If you stay home, you see that you will not be able to achieve your goal, and you said you were studying, you've not achieved, or you've not been able to do the amount of work you wanted to do, and you didn't do other things as well, so you've lost a whole lot. But if you went to, let's say, the library, you'll see that over there a whole lot of things. And one thing that I should add is that we should learn to do away with things that distract us when we are working. Let's take, for instance, you are studying. Your phone, for instance, can be a source of distraction, and so you want to maybe put your phone off or put it away from you, so that you just stick to the time. Because say you are located 2 hours and you sit down there and calls are coming through, definitely you'll be wasting time answering the phone, and in the end you will not achieve your goal.
Thank you so much. So for me, talking from experience as well, the necessary ingredient I think you need to learn how to manage your time is a notebook and then your alarm clock. because personally, if I, like what Debbie said, if I'm able to write down what I want to do within the day, it helps me to achieve it, as compared to when I just give it out, like allow the day to just go without me writing it down. I end up forgetting some things. I end up not being able to achieve much. So getting a to-do list, I really advise and encourage that we have a to-do list book that we just write down the activities we want to achieve, like during the day. And whilst you are doing it, you'll be taking. It helps you to know how productive you are, how productive you've been. Okay. And then one thing about alarm clock is that even if you are so indisciplined, immediately you hear the alarm clock, it brings your mind to the fact that you have something to do. Yeah, and that is when the discipline will come in. So if you just allow it to, but if you know you are very stubborn, please just let the alarm clock be by you, because that's what will give you to bring your mind to the fact that the time is up. Now I want to also encourage us that when we are planning our day, just have some time for break. Because if you have some time to rest, it enables you to be productive. It enables you to have the energy to go on with the next activity. Because when you pack your whole day with so many activities, you get too tired, and then it becomes very difficult for you to be productive and effective. Remember, we said at the end of the day, you should be productive and effective. So if you did so much and then it yielded no results, then you've not achieved anything. So have some time to rest, to enable your body to get used to it and gain more energy to go through the next activity. So now, all right.
Talking about the to-do list, one thing, like when Debbie was talking, she mentioned about discipline. You know, after you've made the to-do list, you should be disciplined enough to stick to whatever you've stated on the to-do list and not to do things outside it. And we should learn also to say no at some point, because sometimes we accept almost everything and it sort of serves as a distraction and it puts us away from what we've written down to do. So we should learn to say no at some point to some tasks that are given to us, because sometimes you might have something to do and some impulses, sort of somebody just call you, come, let's go and do this. And you want to leave what you've set for yourself for the day to go and do that. And in the end, you'll just be wasting time.
Did you say?
Okay, let me say, I think there's a place of flexibility also. Sometimes you've written things out, you've written things down. It may not always go as planned, and don't be so stiff and structured. Maybe within, say, from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. you written down that you want to do this. If you're not able to do that period, maybe something is delaying, you can do something else within that period. Be flexible so that the ultimate goal is to be able to achieve much within a given time. And also, I advise to indulge. Sometimes just, not every day, maybe one day in, say, a month or some weeks, just indulge, relax, like do an activity that you like doing and do it to your feel. Then when you're satisfied, that way it helps you kind of, sometimes when you're doing all this discipline thing and all that, you feel like, oh gosh, I'm losing out on a lot of things. But when you sometimes indulge yourself that day, in a good way, by the time you're getting back to your routine, you won't feel so bad, because maybe if it's rest, you've been able to rest. If it's a game or something, the kind of sport that you like doing, and you've been able to do it to your feel, you get some kind of energy, should I say ginger in quotes, to be able to get back to, your routine and all that. So I think it'll help.
So now my last question, what are the implications, like to the stubborn ones out there who are not ready to manage their time? What are some of the implications or the things that happen to us when we don't properly use our time? Girl, boy, whoever, if you let time pass you by, gosh, it's your own disaster, kind of like it's like it's a bad thing for you, because you see maybe your mates, people you've been going through life with, and they're able to manage their time, they're planned, and then they're doing their stuffs, and you're just on your own, still, relaxing, just letting, what will be, that kind of thing. It's not always a good, should I say, mindset. So it's a very, should I say, dangerous place to be if you're not able to manage your time well, because you won't be able to achieve much.
you'll be behind your peers. You'll even be able to like empty everything that's inside you, all the, should I say, the wealth of knowledge, the wealth of talent, and on what you'll be able to achieve to, you know, affect people's lives positively, to be productive. You'll be able to empty all of that if you're not able to manage your time well, because as the fact is that everyone has 24 hours in a day, but how you use it, you know, will determine the kind of result you will get. So it's a bad place to be if you're not able to manage your time. You know, you can't go far in life without discipline, so be disciplined.
Okay, as we all know, if we fail to plan, we plan to fail. And so it's very important that we plan our day so that we don't fail in the end. And like we've said already, if we don't plan, as in organize ourselves, so that whatever we have to do in the day, we know and we stick to it. We allow stress on ourselves, and in the end we'll fall sick, because we know there are so many diseases that people have, and it is stress that causes it. And so in order to avoid some of these things, in order to get promotions, we need to learn how to manage our time, so that whenever we find ourselves like in an organization, we'll be able to flow with the organization, because no manager wants to hire somebody who is not able to manage their time well. In that, whenever you are given a task, there is a deadline, and you should be able to stick to the deadline. Sometimes you don't have to wait for your boss to ask you for the finished work. You need to finish in time to give it to your boss. And so if you don't manage your time well, you will in the end realize that, first of all, there will not be any promotion, and there will be stagnation in your life.
Thank you very much. So if you respect time, you will be respected, and if you are not able to manage your time, that means that you are calling frustration and a low productivity. Thank you so much for joining us as we discussed about time management. We hope to see you next week. I'm with Debbie and Francis, and it's still Lady, your favorite host. Keep watching MENTIASIE TV, and thank you, Benny Photography, for this wonderful coverage. Bye.